Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. With Saudi Arabia's recent agreement to allow women to drive starting June of 2018, the United States seeks for Saudi Arabia to reduce the import duties on U.S. private company-produced cars, such as the Ford Motor Company and General Motors. In accordance with the socio-economic Saudi Vision 2030 reforms, the United States aims to become the leading provider for the growing number of drivers, tourists, and workforce participants within Saudi Arabia. The United States hopes to cultivate its relationship with Saudi Arabia beyond business cooperation regarding oil, and to assist Saudi Arabia's socio-economic pursuits.
If that was our policy goal, let me describe to you how we want to get that done. First, the United States is going to push Saudi Arabia to lower import duties from 5 to 3% on cars and 12 to 10% for trucks. Additionally, we want to reduce import duties on electric cars and fuel-efficient cars to make them more competitive, because green energy is the future and Saudi Arabians deserve Teslas too. The United States and its car companies, such as Ford, Chrysler, and GM, are also going to invest more than $10 billion into Saudi Arabia over the course of 10 years. This is going to give American car companies a huge stake in the Saudi auto manufacturing sector, and it's going to give Saudis the funding and assistance they need to make their own auto sector while reducing unemployment. It's pretty sweet.
There are certain benefits that will accrue to the United States adopting this policy. For example, there will be an increase in vehicle demand due to the country's growing youth population, rising disposable income levels, favorable auto financing environment, and greater public and private sector investments. All of these factors show growing potential and populations of potential car owners. The U.S. will benefit due to the increased profits that U.S. private companies will receive. The U.S. and its private companies will benefit greatly because they would hold stake in Saudi Arabia's success. U.S. car companies will also benefit because the U.S. will hold greater leverage within this market. We will be able to target more people and profit from growing numbers of the Saudi population and the market for vehicles. We would hold stake in Saudi's manufacturing sector, and we won't have to pay the full import duty, so they can sell cars at lower prices, making their cars more competitive within markets and increasing overall sales. Although to every upside there is always a down, and there are certain disadvantages that the U.S. could suffer or risk by adopting this policy. Some private car companies within the U.S. might not be willing to put forth the investment to build Saudi's auto parts manufacturing sector. Therefore, if the U.S. cannot successfully fund a $10 billion investment for developing within Saudi, then Saudi Arabia would be unlikely to reduce the import duty. Saudi Arabia's industrial standards and conformity assignments are a significant market barrier for U.S. exporters. Saudi Arabia might counter the policy by accepting the investment and U.S. assistance in developing auto parts industry without reduction of import duty. If they do reduce the import duty on cars, then Saudi Arabia might increase an import duty on other exports from the United States, negatively affecting another sector within the United States.
Complementary to Joe's analysis on the advantages and disadvantages for the United States are those for Saudi Arabia. With our impending policy for Saudi Arabia, as well as the socio-economic reforms removing the ban on female drivers, some advantages Saudi Arabia should anticipate is promotion of productivity and participation of women in the workplace, as well as opening a new audience of consumers in the automotive market. The growth of the automotive industry, including parts, accessories, and maintenance, will all contribute to Saudi GDP, as well as generate employment. However, there is a dexterous range of automobile manufacturers in Japan, such as Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, Suzuki, all relatively inexpensive automobile producers. They may not come to terms with Saudi Arabia if they are giving the United States a special rate for import duty. Also, this could impact or threaten their relations with Saudi Arabia.
One alternative policy the United States could pursue is focusing on foreign direct investment in the Saudi energy sector. As part of 2030, Saudi Arabia wants to diversify their economy and move towards renewable energy. U.S. foreign direct investment would give the Saudis the funding they need for these renewable energy projects and give American companies large profits. It would also make sure that the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have trade ties, even as Saudi Arabia and the rest of the world inevitably moves away from oil production. Another alternative is that the U.S. simply does nothing. By doing nothing, U.S. auto companies can still experience the advantage of growing numbers of automobile buyers in Saudi Arabia, but we won't have the advantage over other auto companies from foreign countries. The U.S. still benefits from Saudi Arabia's new policy allowing women to drive, but we don't have an edge over other countries.